I've certainly had to learn how to forgive myself,
Good.
and probably still I'm working on that with certain things. But I have someone in mind who is one of the most important people in my life and is extremely um, unforgiving of himself. And so I want to ask you some questions about this. And in a way, I think my goal is to kind of channel him and imagine and kind of push back in all the ways I imagine he would push back to kind of see where we can get with the most resistant unforgiveness. So so I know, and I'll back up a little bit and say too, I remember reading in your book, Forgive for Good, that when you initially started teaching public classes, it was only then that people started asking you about self-forgiveness, and that
Right.
at first you weren't quite sure how to guide them with it. But then, of course, you kind of figured it out. But that it was, something that came to you a little bit later than the other types of forgiveness, forgiving other people. So I'll just ask you kind of open-endedly here at first, how can people forgive themselves?
Well, the quick and dirty answer is the one that you offered like 45 minutes ago is be at peace. So even your friend who is not at peace with themselves, if like they could sit in the sun and relax their body and feel the warmth of the sun's rays and breathe in and out thankfulness for being alive and for the miracle of abundance of that warmth. Or if they can remember some time when they were loved and breathe appropriately so they can feel that in a relaxed way. Once they touch, once even for a second, they touch real peacefulness, their grudge is gone.
Mm.
It's gone. They can bring it back, but it's gone. And the way into your friend is to remind him that he has that choice, that he can relax and let go and appreciate and open, not to anything in specific, just inside, and be at peace. And once you're at peace, even if it's for 15 seconds, you're at peace with your whole life. And then a little aspect of your life comes back and it disturbs your peace. Well, that's fine. We each have different things that disturb our peace. That's just how we're made. When it's criticism of self that disturbs your peace, you just first want to identify it. Oh, here's a self-attack coming that will disturb my peace. Okay, maybe I need to learn something. By the 20th practice, you'll look at it as, why would I want to harm myself? Like, why am I doing this? What would I possibly be wanting to throw a self-attack around again to disturb my peace when I can, I've told myself this now 7 times. You didn't like the fact that you treated somebody badly or made a mistake or anything. Those are legit. But by the 10th time, I really don't need it.
Yeah.
Let me just let it go and go back to peace.
And that's the thing, I think, with the person I'm thinking of, and with many people, is that this this super harsh self-criticism just rears its head over and over and over again. Um I remember too reading that you kind of categorize different types of self-resentment,
Right,
different
right.
reasons,
Sure, the 4
yes.
kinds of it.
Yes. And one of them is basically when you are unforgiving toward yourself because you feel like you've hurt people in your
Right.
life.
Sure.
And I imagine perhaps that's one of the hardest to forgive yourself for.
That's actually the easiest.
How interesting. How,
Not
what?
the easiest, but because the key piece of that is apologizing and making amends.
Mm,
It's not the feeling bad. So what I might suggest to somebody like your friend is, it would be to take a meditation class or to do some emotional backed writing, which is instead of self-attack, write out all the negative things you might say to yourself. But the minute you've written them out, crumple them up and throw them away as an example of you don't need to stick with them. Just do something to empty yourself out. And then legitimately ask yourself, what can I do to make it right? If I've hurt somebody, what can I do? So let's say that there's somebody you need to apologize to. Make it sincere. Let's say you did something that harmed them. Make amends if you can. Let's say you can't help them in particular. Do something good for the world. Put your attention on what you can heal, not what's wrong with you. That you have to teach yourself to let it go, to be at peace. But it doesn't mean you don't have a responsibility to balance the energy. So the feeling piece is useless. After 10 or 20 repetitions,
Right.
you're not teaching yourself anything. It's just a habit.
Yep.
So that's the last piece that I would say is it's just a reminder that we all have habits. And his habit is to be harsh on himself in some way, not to feel his deep and profound disappointment with his behavior. Fine, so do this, but just recognize it's just a habit, that you're choosing to continue that habit, and you can choose another habit if you want to. Then you have to do the letting go piece or the positive piece, and then you have to do something positive. You have to make the world right where you made it wrong. So those would be the three crucial aspects of self-forgiveness.